The periscope breaks the surface just long enough for one sweep. Commander Samuel DeWitt grips the handles tighter, his knuckles white. It's June 6, 1944, and through the magnified lens, he sees something that makes his blood run cold. Destroyers, 3 of them, Japanese, charging directly at USS Harder's position off Tawi-Tawi in the southern Philippines. Range 1,200 yards and closing fast. DeWitt calls out. His executive officer, Frank Lynch, stares at him, waiting for the order every submariner knows by heart. Dive deep, run silent, pray they pass overhead without detecting you. But DeWitt doesn't give that order. Instead, he does something the Navy's submarine school explicitly forbids, something his instructors called suicidal and tactically insane. He aims his submarine's bow directly at the lead destroyer and prepares to fire torpedoes straight down its throat. "Captain, they're right on top of us," Lynch's voice cracks with barely controlled panic. In the cramped control room, 79 men hold their breath. The destroyer screws thunder above them like an approaching freight train. Any second now, depth charges will rain down and crush their hull like a tin can. What none of them know, what no one in the Allied command knows, is that USS Harder has stumbled onto the most closely guarded secret in the Japanese Imperial Navy. Hidden in the sheltered waters of Tawi-Tawi anchorage, just 6 miles away, sits the entire Japanese mobile fleet, battleships Yamato and Musashi, 5 aircraft carriers, 13 cruisers, and dozens of destroyers. It's the largest concentration of Japanese naval power assembled since the Battle of Midway. And the only thing standing between this discovery and oblivion is a 311-foot Gatetalk-class submarine with a broken hydraulic system, dwindling oxygen reserves, and a commander who refuses to follow the rules. By June 1944, American submarines in the Pacific are fighting with one hand tied behind their backs. Torpedo failure rates hover near 50%. Standard doctrine demands caution, attack from long range, avoid escorts, never, under any circumstances, engage a destroyer head-on. In 2.5 years of war, this conservative approach has cost the submarine force dearly. 52 American subs have been lost. Thousands of men rest on eternal patrol beneath the Pacific. What DeWitt doesn't know is that the next 4 days will change submarine warfare forever and force the Japanese Navy to abandon their hidden base, disrupting their entire battle plan for the Pacific. The destroyer is 900 yards away now. 800, 700. Fire tubes 1, 2, and 3, DeWitt says calmly. 11 months earlier, October 1943, U.S. Pacific submarine commanders gather in Pearl Harbor for an emergency conference. The mood is grim. Admiral Charles Lockwood stands before a map covered in red X's marking sunken American subs. "Gentlemen, we have a crisis," Lockwood begins. "Our torpedo failure rate is unacceptable. 50% of Mark 14 torpedoes either run too deep, fail to detonate, or explode prematurely. Worse, our submarines are achieving only a fraction of expected kills against Japanese shipping. The statistics are damning. In the first 22 months of war, American subs have sunk just 725 Japanese merchant vessels, far below projections. The Mark 14 torpedo, rushed into production without adequate testing, has 4 critical flaws: faulty depth control, a magnetic exploder that detonates prematurely, a contact exploder that crumples on impact, and an overall design that makes it run 10 feet deeper than set. But the torpedo isn't the only problem. Submarine doctrine itself is failing. Captain John Cromwell, who commanded submarine operations in the Atlantic, presents the conventional wisdom. Submarines must avoid surface escorts at all costs. A destroyer can outrun us, outturn us, and kill us with a single depth charge pattern. Our job is to slip past the escorts and strike the merchant vessels. Hit from long range, 5,000 yards minimum, then dive deep and evade. The Admiral's not. It's logical, it's safe, it's costing them the war." In the audience, a little-known submarine commander shifts uncomfortably. Samuel David DeWitt, 36, from Dallas, Texas, graduated from the Naval Academy in 1930. Not at the top of his class, not particularly distinguished. He spent most of the 1930s on battleships and destroyers. He's only been commanding submarines since December 1942, when he took USS Harder fresh from the shipyard. DeWitt has no advanced tactical training, no combat innovations to his name. No reason to believe he'll be anything other than competent. After the meeting, he approaches Lockwood with a radical idea. "Admiral, what if we're thinking about this backwards?" Lockwood frowns. "Explain." "We're treating destroyers like threats to avoid, but destroyers themselves are high-value targets. Every destroyer we sink is one less escort protecting their carriers and battleships. And if we could develop tactics to reliably kill destroyers..." DeWitt dales off, seeing the skepticism on Lockwood's face. "Commander, our analysis shows that head-on attacks, so-called down-the-throat shots, have a success rate below 10%. The torpedo spread is too narrow, the target profile too small, and if you miss, the destroyer is right on top of you, with no time to escape. Permission to try anyway, sir." Lockwood studies him. "Why would you risk your boat and crew on a tactic with a 90% failure rate?" "Because, sir, if we don't change something, we're going to keep losing boats at the current rate. 52 submarines gone. That's over 4,000 men. I'd rather die trying something new than die doing the same thing that's not working. The room falls silent. Every officer present knows someone who didn't come back. USS Wahoo, USS Grunion, USS Argonaut, USS Amberjack. The list grows longer each month. Expert consensus is clear. Avoid destroyers. Stick to merchant vessels. Minimize risk. The Imperial Japanese Navy has 391 submarines and surface combatants. The American submarine force has less than 150 operational boats in the Pacific. They cannot afford to lose even one more in a reckless attack. Lockwood makes his decision. Request denied, Commander. Follow standard doctrine. Dismissed. As DeWitt walks out, he passes a bulletin board posting new orders. USS Harder assigned to patrol the approaches to Tawi-Tawi, a remote anchorage in the southern Philippines. Intelligence suggests the Japanese may be using it as a staging area. The stakes have never been higher. Allied forces are preparing to invade the Marinette Islands. Success depends on the Pacific Fleet locating and destroying the Japanese mobile fleet before it can interfere. So far, Japanese naval movements remain a mystery. No one suspects that the biggest naval battle of the Pacific War is about to hinge on what one by-the-book submarine commander discovers and what he decides to do about it. USS Harder departs for Mantle, Australia on June 6, 1944 for her 5th war patrol. It's supposed to be a routine surveillance mission. Patrol the waters around Tawi-Tawi, report enemy movements, avoid engagement. But something has changed in Sam DeWitt. During Harder's 4th patrol, he watched from his periscope as a Japanese freighter exploded from his torpedoes. Through the lens, he saw lifeboats lowering, men jumping into the water. Then he saw the destroyer escorts race in, ignoring the survivors hunting only for his submarine. They dropped 104 depth charges over 6 hours, nearly crushing Harder's hull. When it was over, DeWitt surfaced to find oil slicks and debris. The survivors from the freighter had drowned while their own destroyers tried to kill him. In his private journal that night, DeWitt writes, "The destroyers are the real enemy, not the merchant ships. The destroyers kill our boats. If we could eliminate the destroyers, we could devastate their supply lines, but we're trained to run from them. What if we hunted them instead?" It's a heretical thought. Destroyers are designed to kill submarines. They're faster, more maneuverable, bristling with depth charges and sonar. The Type D destroyer carries 36 depth charges and can sprint at 34 knots. USS Harder's maximum surface speed is barely 20 knots. Underwater, she can only manage 9 knots for short bursts before the batteries die. Every tactical manual says the same thing: avoid destroyers or die trying. But lying in his bunk that night, DeWitt remembers something from his years on destroyers. In 1935, he served aboard USS Rathburn during anti-submarine exercises. He learned how destroyer captains think, how they hunt, and he realized their greatest weakness: they expect submarines to run away. What if we didn't run? DeWitt asks his executive officer, Frank Lynch, the next morning. What if we attack them head-on? Lynch looks at him like he's lost his mind. The Navy calls that a down-the-throat shot, Captain. Training says it's impossible to pull off. Training also said our torpedoes work perfectly. Training was wrong about that. The problem is the geometry. When a destroyer comes straight at you, the target profile is only 30 feet wide. Our torpedo spread can't guarantee a hit. And if we miss, we die. I know. DeWitt pulls out a notebook covered in calculations and diagrams. But I've been working out the math. If we wait until they're close enough, so close they can't possibly miss us with sonar, then our torpedoes can't miss either. At 1,000 yards, the spread pattern covers exactly the destroyer's width. We fire 3 fish. At least one will hit. You're talking about letting a destroyer charge to point-blank range. That's insane. It's unexpected, which means it might work exactly once before they figure it out. And if it doesn't work, DeWitt closes his notebook. Then someone else will have to figure out how to sink these destroyers because, Frank, we're losing this war. Not on the macro scale. I know we're winning island by island, but down here in our world, we're losing. The boats keep going out and not coming back. If there's even a chance this works, he doesn't finish the sentence. He doesn't have to. On June 6, 1944, USS Harder surfaces off Tawi-Tawi just before dawn. DeWitt scans the horizon through his binoculars, searching for enemy contacts. What he sees makes him grab the periscope handles. Frank, get up here. You need to see this. Through the lens, destroyers, 3 of them, heading straight for Harder's position. And beyond them, barely visible in the morning haze, the massive silhouettes of battleships and carriers filling the anchorage. My God, Lynch whispers, the entire Japanese fleet. DeWitt's mind races. This is intelligence worth dying for. They need to radio Pearl Harbor immediately, but the destroyers have spotted their periscope. They're closing fast, their bows raising white spray as they accelerate. Standard doctrine: dive to 400 feet. Go silent. Let them pass. DeWitt's hand hovers over the dive alarm. Then he remembers the 52 submarines that followed standard doctrine, that didn't come home. Battle stations, he says quietly. I'm going to kill one of these destroyers. Then we're going to run like hell and tell Admiral Nimitz what we found. June 6th, 1944, so 800 hours. The Japanese destroyer Minazaki charges towards USS Harder's periscope at 30 knots. On her bridge, Commander Kato Shinsaki has spotted the American submarine and intends to ram it before it can dive. It's standard anti-submarine tactics. Force the sub down, then pepper the water with depth charges until oil and debris surface. What Commander Koto doesn't know is that Sam DeWitt has no intention of diving. Range. DeWitt's voice cuts through a tension in Harder's control room. 1,200 yards in closing, Captain. Every man holds his breath. The destroyer screws are audible now through the hull, a rhythmic thrashing that grows louder by the second. In conventional attacks, submarines fire at 4,000 to 5,000 yards, then immediately dive to escape. At 1,200 yards, there's no time for escape. If the torpedoes miss, Minazaki will be right on top of them. Bearing. DeWitt's hands are steady on the periscope. 347 relative. Dead ahead, sir. Through the periscope, DeWitt sees Minazaki's bowway. The destroyer looks massive from this angle, a wall of gray steel racing towards them. He can see sailors on deck, can see the muzzles of her deathsterns, 900 yards. In the forward torpedo room, 3 Mark 14 torpedoes wait in their tubes. Each carries 680 pounds of Torpex explosive. Each costs $10,000 to manufacture. Each has a 50% chance of failing. If even one of the 3 hits, the destroyer will break in half. If all 3 fail, 800 yards. DeWitt does something his trainers never taught him. Instead of watching the destroyer through the periscope, he closes his eyes and visualizes the geometry. The torpedo spread diverges at exactly 2 degrees. At this range, that creates a pattern 150 feet wide. The destroyer is 380 feet long, but only 34 feet wide from this angle. The math is brutal. He needs to be closer. 700 yards. Captain, we need to fire or dive. Lynch's voice rises. They're going to ram us. DeWitt opens his eyes. Through the periscope, Minazaki fills his entire field of view. He can see the bow wave breaking around her hull. He can see the muzzle flashes as her forward guns open fire, the shells splashing into the water near their periscope. 600 yards. Fire 1, fire 2, fire 3.